We were just reading the latest from Bradford, up now on WEEI. You can follow him on Twitter at Bradford. Of course, baseball isn't boring. I like this line in here from you, Rob. The three-time All-Star is reliable, and while Gray is a perceived top-of-the-rotation option for the Red Sox, he wouldn't seem to be the caliber of starting pitcher Craig Breslow was hinting at earlier this offseason. So what do you make of the trade?
I only deal in facts. Those are facts. Yeah, I first of all, I don't think you can really criticize the Red Sox for the trade because it does what everybody wants them to do, which is try to win in 2026. Like that is undeniable when it comes to looking at this trade. You took on, a fair amount of money. Now I know they're getting $20 million back, but still you're still paying a pretty decent chunk. You're giving up two guys who might be probably are major leaguers, and you're getting a guy for 1 year. 1 year. So, and he's part of the solution, not part of the problem. Not where I wrote that, and this has to be part of the conversation, is this the guy that Craig Breslow was talking about, the GM meetings, to walk side by side, hand in hand with Garrett Crochet at the top of the rotation? And he's not. That's not where Sonny Gray is at this point in his career. 2 years ago, 2023, that guy, sure. But not the guy that we saw last year. That doesn't mean he's a bad pitcher. That doesn't mean he can't be a number 3 starter. But still, that's not this guy. So that's what we sort of have to wait and see. But I think ultimately what you have to look at this trade hey, good for them. I don't think they gave up guys who are really going to hurt you down the road. And even if you do, so what? So what? Don't you want to win now? And this helps you win now.
And really just an upgrade over, best friend of the show, Lucas Giolito.
Yeah.
Fair to say. He had a good year, but he's just, unfortunately, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Sonny Gray gets the ball and goes. And for 1 year, roughly that price tag, is that kind of what we're looking at here?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. And I think the problem is that everybody they sort of paint themselves into this corner by saying we're not worrying about 3 through 10, we're worrying about 1 and 1.5, and so everybody's so focused on getting that guy, like I said, the Joe Ryan guy, and we're gonna have to see if they get him. But I don't know how you can really criticize him too much, because this is the type of trade where I would scream and yell why wouldn't you do it? I don't want to be clinging to prospects. I don't want to be clinging to the idea that Richard Fitz someday is going to be a number 3 starter or Brandon Clark is going to pop off out of nowhere. Maybe they will. I don't know. But all I know is what you have now is a World Series contending team if everything breaks the right way and you keep adding to them. So that's what they did. They kept adding to it.
So yeah, I like this trade. I'm curious, how do you think Sonny Gray stacks up compared to guys like Dylan Cease and Framber Valdez, who are free agents, and some of the other names that we've been brought up before, like Mackenzie Gore, Hunter Green, Sandy Alcantara? Do you put him in that same realm, or is he below those guys? How do you rank him?
It's to me, Rich, it's two different buckets, honestly. One, because of the age. Happy birthday to Sonny Gray. Just turned 36 on November 7th.
Happy birthday, Pickles.
Yeah, Pickles. There you go. But this
even just for this season, because I understand your point. Dylan Cease is going to be a lot of years and a lot of money.
Yeah,
but for the 26th season, is he as
No, he doesn't have he have the upside that a Dylan Cease does, a Mackenzie Gore does? No, but what he does have is sort of that reliability. You mentioned Giolito, same sort of deal. That reliability that the guy pitched 32 games last year. The last 3 years he's pitched at least 28. In 2023, he was that elite guy, but that was 2023. I think that you still are looking for the upside guy. And that's the Cease, that's the Gore, and maybe they blow up, but I think this is a very, very reliable guy. And you mentioned Giolito. I'll mention another one. What maybe they thought they were going to get in Walker Buehler, which they clearly didn't.
Yeah,
but they needed this. This is a guy who's not going to walk guys, who's pitched in big games, who's going to give you innings, who is going to give you good starts. But is he going to win the Cy Young? No, probably not. But still, that's okay. I still think that you got to go after the upside guy because you know what? That's what they said they were going to go after, the upside guy.
Okay, well, I agree with all this, and I agree this move in a vacuum, like I'll give up prospects for a guy who can help you right now. And I think, by the way, Brandon Clark had been ranked 5th in the organization, but Baseball America came out with their top 10 yesterday. There's a bunch of pitchers who have passed him by. Peyton Tolley, Connolly early, their first-round pick a year ago, Kyson Witherspoon, Perales, Valera, like a bunch of pitchers have passed him by. So fine, okay, you're dealing a guy who might not even be a top 10 prospect. I'm fine with all that. I will push back on you saying there's no downside to the trade or nothing to be upset about with the trade. I'm not going to fault baseball ops. I like what baseball ops did. Is ownership looking at this as like a big splashy move? Here's $20 million we're spending because the Cardinals are, or $21 million. The Cardinals are eating the other 20. Is ownership going to look at this as one of their big moves, or is this just a small move in a bigger offseason? That's the main thing I'm wondering about, because if this is just one small move and they're getting some of the names you said, Dylan Cease or Mackenzie Gore, and they're adding bats in free agency, great. If this is a big move on the pitching side with one bat, that's not going to be enough.
Well, ultimately, it's not that big a move financially. It's like, this is Walker Buehler. And so did we say that about Walker Buehler last year? No. So the answer is there's no possible way they could view this as, oh, this is one of the big moves. And it comes back to what we said before, guys, is that if we're going to look at the debt, we cannot forget the Rafael Devers trade, because that trade was the foundation of it was the money coming back. How are you going to spend the money? They will not definitively say, this is how we're going to spend the money, but still at the end of the offseason, you want to see them spend the money. And this doesn't put doesn't chip into that at all, I don't think. To answer your question, no. This isn't a John Henry is going to be smoking a cigar in front of the fireplace move.
Okay,
right?
Good. No.
I mean, that's
me feel a little
the best
better.
way to classify it.
Let's hope not.
I would
this
rule
isn't
nothing
an
out with him.
Instagram-worthy John Henry move.
Yeah, okay. I would rule nothing out with him, but that admittedly makes me feel better.
Yeah. So how many guys do you think, if Sonny Gray is going to be paid $21 million by the Red Sox, how many new players will make more than that on the team next year?
I think 2.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
I mean, the guys that
So
you're going
now
to
we're
get in
talking.
this offseason you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still going to get a bat, and you're still going to get a pitcher. Like, I still think that. And now, you're hearing about relief pitchers. I do think, to come back to what we can learn from this move, is that this is clearly hey, 2026 is an important year. We have to keep moving forward, because as much as we say, oh, well, Richard Fitz, Brandon Clark, listen, the guy who was just traded for Richard Fitz and Brandon Clark might not have made this trade because he liked Richard Fitz and Brandon Clark too much. There is that element of prospect hugging in baseball which drives everybody crazy. And we know what Richard Fitz is, but Brandon Clark he's the ultimate guy where you look at and say, oh yeah, he's throwing almost 100. He was a 5th-round pick, but he came out of spring training like gangbusters. He started the year like gangbusters. And we're just going to ignore that he had a over 5 ERA in Greenville and couldn't throw strikes because he's still a work in progress, which might be true. But that's no reason to hang on to him when you can get a guy that actually can help you for 2026.
I'm curious, the reported interest, and this came out this morning from Ken Rosenthal, the reported Red Sox interest in JT Realmuto. And is that going to be one of their big targets this offseason? That also feels underwhelming.
It's I don't know if it's underwhelming, but it's odd. It's just, I know that they want that bat. They like the leadership. Realmuto's still a really, really good catcher, but you're sitting there with Carlos Narvaez as, a really, really good catcher as well, who's a lot younger. So if you're going to allocate resources to Realmuto, that one just seemed odd. Now, we all know that, this time of year, if someone expresses interest, it becomes a big deal. And we just have to figure out the level of interest it is. We saw the same thing at the GM meetings with the relievers, with the Devin Williams of the world. Well, are they actually making this a priority, or aren't they? Hey, they might trade for sign Realmuto tomorrow, and we're all diving into this. Why did they do this? But why we're trying to figure out that report and why they would do this, that's a much, much tougher one for me, certainly, than why they might go after the end of the bullpen type of guy.
Okay. He's Rob Bradford. Check out his work, weei.com. Listen to him on Baseball Isn't Boring. I'm sure Sonny Gray will be on there in no time. And you can follow him on Twitter at Bradfo as well. Rob Bradford, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Guys, thank you so much. Have a great Thanksgiving.
You too.